You all right, Stacey? Need me to jump in?
Yeah, I'm having some problem advancing the slide once I have it up there for some reason.
Okay, you just gotta click, but okay. Give me a second.
I will be soon with you. I want the community to be able to see the slides that are up on Facebook. So good morning again to everyone.
Okay, Council President, go ahead.
Okay. The engagement in government promotes transparency, accountability, and inclusion. Next slide, please. I want to talk about the community engagement process. And the process begins with the community engagement proposal. And once that proposal begins, there is a community engagement notice. And the notice is sent out. And then that notice is telling you about the community engagement meeting. Once the meetings is held, there will be a community engagement report. Once the report is completed, it will go to City Council for consideration. And then City Council will vote on it. And there will be the City Council approval. The community engagement is citywide, if it's a citywide initiative, or it is in your community, if it's just a certain community initiative. The citywide proposals that are issues that impact the entire city are ballot initiatives, bond proposals, the master plan amendments, and also the annual recommended budget. There will be one meeting held in each of the 7 city council districts. So again, there will be one community engagement meeting held in each one of the 7 in each of the 7 city council districts. The things that could impact your specific community are installation of bike lanes, sales of surplus property, and that's major land sales. The installation of camera surveillance technology, neighborhood planning studies, and or streetscape projects and constructions. There will be 2 meetings throughout the impacted community. 2 community meetings throughout the impacted community. The community engagement notice can be posted on the city website and social media sites. It can be emailed to all registered users within the impacted area. And there will be a notification to all residents within 300 radial feet for the in-person meetings only. The community engagement meetings is a presentation on the proposal. there will be community discussion as well as community feedback. The community engagement report will include the information on how the community was notified, any concerns that were raised by the community, and the method to address concerns or why concerns are not able to be addressed. Again, the community engagement proposal can be citywide, or it can just impact your community. So it's not hard, it's very simple, but one of the things that I realized was important, as I have been on council for 15 years, is 16 years, is including the community and making sure the community is aware of what is going on in their community. And so we have been out in the community. We've always included the community. We wanted to ensure that the community will be included in on things that are going on in the city. Now, there are some changes that are going to be represented in the updated draft that is to come for the ordinance. And there will be an amendment on the surplus property language to add a property amount in the acreage. And we are working with the administration now to develop specifics around the large land sales. The responsibility of leading the community engagement will come from the administering department. It will not come from the Department of Neighborhoods, but it will come from the administering department. The Department of Neighborhoods will work in collaboration to assist with planning the meetings and the notification of the meeting. And the language is being amended to reflect the responsibility. In order to allow the voices of the impact communities to be heard, the law department is reviewing the feasibility of restricting attendance at meetings from residents in the impacted area only, or just comments from residents in the impacted area only. This will ensure that the impacted community is the voice at the meeting, and that does not get lost. A lot of times we have people coming from other communities that are speaking on behalf of the community, but we want to ensure that it is the community that's being affected, is a voice that is being heard. Tax abatements or other incentives are not a part of the community engagement ordinance. Items related to tax abatements or to the community benefits agreement ordinance will not be subject to the community engagement process. However, this particular ordinance will not outrule the community benefits ordinance. As far as camera surveillance, it's not explicitly notifying where the cameras are, but it's to notify you that camera surveillance will be installed. And this ensures the protection of the civil liberties while also taking into account the public safety needs. Also, meetings will be allowed to run concurrently with charter mandated meetings. And this amendment is also being made. And so there are certain charter mandated meetings that must be held, and that those meetings are such as the city council's evening community meeting, the mayor's meeting. There are certain charter mandated meetings. And so the community engagement process can be held during these already mandated meetings. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but now is the time for you to ask your questions if you have questions. And if you have questions, you can simply just press *9 on your phone, and that will allow you to ask the questions that you may have. If you are watching on Facebook, you can type your question in on Facebook, and we will see that question. It will be read, and you will get a response to that question. Officers are often getting calls from community people asking them what is going on in their community, and this is to ensure that the community is aware of what is taking place in their community. Thank you for the slides. Do we have any callers that have any questions? Again, if you have any questions, you can press *9, and that will get you in to ask your question. Are there any questions on Facebook? I see I have one hand that is raised thus far, and that is 529. It's the last 3 digits of your phone number, 529. You are unmuted. Good morning.
Good morning. I have a question, well, it's 2 questions. I'm trying to access you on Facebook Live. I'm trying to find that place where I can access the video portion. But my question is about the ordinance. Is there a way that we can include in a community engagement process when neighborhoods want to install speed humps and speed cushions in the neighborhood? Currently, a neighborhood group can request it, but there is no input from perhaps those in the neighborhood who might want to speak for or against it or weigh in on that. So I've asked the appropriate city departments, and they pretty much tell me that once somebody in the neighborhood requests it, then it goes through a process and there's really no other input from the neighborhood. That's my question.
Okay. I'm going to ask Marcel Hurt if he would join in, our legislative policy division person, if you can answer that from a policy standpoint.
Yes, Madam President. The implementation of speed bumps probably would not be a part of this community engagement ordinance. The purpose of the ordinance, as Council President has indicated, that these are things in which are coming before City Council for approval, presented by the administration. This is in order to give the community an opportunity to weigh in on the larger developments or larger propositions that the administrations are doing within the community or as the city as a whole. So particularly putting speed bumps would be on a particular single block or in a particular area. And that's done by the Department of Public Works based upon their traffic studies and things of that nature. So to include something like speed bumps would make it just a little bit too broad. It would include everything that's included with regard to things in which the administration has under the Department of Public Works, their charter provisions that allow them to do so. So speed bumps probably would not be a good thing to place into the community engagement ordinance.
Council President, could I chime in?
Yes.
So there is technology aided engagement. such as surveys, online comment periods, Marcel, that I think that we could maybe, it doesn't have to be extensive community engagement where it's a meeting or something of that nature, but for something that does impact the community and you are having speed humps come into your neighborhood, where they maybe could do like a survey or online comment period, where while the department is reviewing the application, the community can weigh in as well. So something that's simple and that's quick, but still allows the community to give a suggestion. I think we might be able to implement on the policy end with the department or legislatively. So we are taking notes to everybody that's on the call and watching on Facebook. And so we will take all of your suggestions for the various different engagement requests, and then we will review how we can either implement it in the ordinance or look at ways to address it other ways, because that's not the first time that we've heard about the installation of speed humps and how the community is engaged. So I think that we can take that and look at multiple different ways to address that on the policy end.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. And that was Jasmine Barnes from my office, who is my legislative policy manager. So thank you, Ms. Barnes. And thank you also, Mr. Hurd. And one of the speed bumps that I really came to mind when he talked about the speed bump to me was the one that's on, it's one on Lafayette going east. And that speed bump was one that we heard from many of the community people saying that the speed bump was extremely deep and it could really cause some damage to your car because of the deepness of the speed bump. And so I could see possibly something on a major street, Mr. Hurd, I don't know about you, but something on a major street like that, but probably nothing on a side street could possibly go in there, but something on a major street like Lafayette could possibly affect the community as a whole. And I could see something possibly like that, but it's something to be discussed with the administration. I also understand your perspective on it also, Mr. Hurt. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome, Madam President. If I can just add, the only reason I was indicating, it's not that there can't be information shared from the community with regard to speed bumps. It's just that in the normal sense, speed bumps would not be something that comes to council for approval. It's
Right.
usually something that DPW already does. And the community engagement ordinance is really starting by, before things come for council for approval, city council wants to be able to receive information from the community to assist them in making their determination as to whether that should go forward or not.
Correct. Thank you. And thank you for that. And then perhaps maybe if there is a speed bump that would be somewhere in the community as the department is discussing whatever it is coming before council that they're doing a community engagement meeting on, they can talk about that particular speed bump that will be coming into that community. So thank you, and thank you for that question. Very good question. And again, we are taking notes to allow us to be able to talk to the administration on what you are asking us, and to, again, inform the administration that these are things that the community is interested in seeing the process take place over. I know we have a question on Facebook. Can we have that question read, please? Ms. Wesley? We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Okay, Council President, I can read to you. So one question is, when the land is to be sold, what are you speaking of as it relates to land sales? Would you like me to take that one, or?
Yes, you can answer that.
Okay, yeah, so for land sales, we're working with the Detroit Land Bank Authority as well as the planning department to evaluate what constitutes a large land sale. So usually land sales of 10 or more, they come to the city council for approval. So we're reviewing what proper acreage is and what the amount of land is. So that's what we mean. Large land sales, not the smaller residential surplus property sales that we see on the agenda a lot, but the larger 10 plus in large acreage. Another one we have, Council President, is
Hold
how
on,
do you
for
address?
hold on for 1 minute. Did
Okay.
you want to comment on that one, Mr. Hurt?
Madam President, yes. As Ms. Barnes has indicated, determining what's a large land sale, we're looking at how we utilize the land bank's policy with regard to the sale of 10 or more parcels. The intent is to make sure that the community has engagement on land sales that will impact the community, as opposed to those land sales that will be just a single parcel in the community.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the second question from Facebook, please.
The second question is, how do you address community problems like commercial vehicles parked on the street? Marcel, you want to take that one? Because I think that's another ordinance, right?
Yes, that will be covered by another ordinance as far as property maintenance, things of that nature, or also under the Department of Public Works and the City of Detroit Police Department would handle those matters as far as parking on streets and property maintenance. If there's cars that are parked on the side of houses or on property, multiple cars, those were covered by a different ordinance. So this ordinance would not be necessary to address those issues.
Okay, and then the next question we have is for planning and again for construction, high tide, we have received your emails. So for planning and for construction, for the planning and the streetscapes, do both trigger these ordinance requirements? So Ty, we have gotten your response and we are meeting with the department to evaluate what makes the most sense as it relates to engagement. I think that your memo and your letter that you sent to us did make a lot of sense as it relates to the contractor not having a lot of information when the first contract comes to the table. So we're looking at requiring engagement as a part of the approval. There is an exemption specification in the ordinance that if in fact engagement is not feasible, then it comes with an engagement plan and the exemption is requested with the approval. So that is probably what a process we'll look at for the streetscapes in the neighborhood planning studies to address your concern. And as we move forward with that policy drafting, Linda Wesley will make sure that you are aware and that you are engaged on that. So thank you for reaching out and bringing that to our attention as we work to draft the policy. The next one is, where's the land located? And I'm interested in 10 or more. I'm partnering with the land bank. Is there a listing of the parcels? Thank you. So that's from Ms. Dewana Bradley. And so we wouldn't know where the land would be at now. This is, as Council President stated, to last us for some time. So it would be as those land sales are initiated throughout the city. As it relates to you partnering with the land bank, Linda Wesley, our community relations manager, she will follow up with you via Facebook and reach out to you and ensure that you know how to touch bases with the land bank as it relates to becoming a city partner.
Thank you. Did you want to weigh in on that one, Mr. Hurt?
Ms. Barnes has covered it pretty well.
Now,
with regard to the issue of whether it would come under the community engagement ordinance, this would be something that larger parcels that are being presented to City Council for approval. So it wouldn't be until that occurs that we would know where the actual land sales are occurring at.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions? There's nothing else on Facebook at this particular time. Are there any questions from the participants on the phone? And I know that we wanted to actually give this overview because I have received a few calls where people were confused about the community engagement ordinance, and I wanted to make sure everyone knew exactly what the ordinance was about. I wanted to engage the community as it is coming before council on exactly what this community engagement ordinance consists of. Because a lot of times there is some misunderstanding, and there was some misunderstanding amongst the departments, as well as it has already been talked about to people in the public, and we wanted to make sure the constituents as well as the businesses understood what the community engagement ordinance consisted of. We wanted to eliminate all confusion. I see a hand up. The last 3 digits of the phone number is 089.
Hi, Council.
You are unmuted.
Hi, Council President. I just wanted to also make mention that this is Linda. I received some calls, and they are some of the community is a little confused on the community engagement ordinance, the community benefits agreement, and they are crossing the two. And I'm trying to explain to them there's no way that these two ordinances will be crossed. Would you go into some explanation about that?
Okay, what I'm going to do is, and because there is so much confusion, I'm going to ask Mr. Hurt if he would just give the difference in the community, because community engagement ordinance is simple. It's just, that's what it is. It's engaging the community on things that will be coming before council for a sale. Or ordinance for approval. I said for sale, but I meant for approval. But I'm going to ask Mr. Hurt if he could definitely give a very good definition of the difference between the community benefits ordinance and the community engagement ordinance. And then I want to just make sure everyone understands that the community engagement ordinance does not take the place of the community benefits ordinance. And basically, it's two different things. So, Mr. Hurt, can you talk about the difference in the community engagement versus the community benefits ordinance?
Yes, Madam President. The community benefits ordinance is an ordinance that addresses construction projects, development projects. And there's breaking down into 2 different tiers. There's a tier 1 projects, which have a certain threshold of a dollar threshold in which the development consists of. Anything that's over, I believe it's $75 million, will fall under the community benefits ordinance. And then under that, the administration through the planning department has to go out to the community and develop a community advisory board within that area that's surrounding the development, and address the concerns in which the community have with regard to that particular project that's coming into that community. And with the tier 2 project under the community benefits ordinance, those are projects that are under $75 million, in which the community then gets an opportunity. The developer has to at least communicate with the community as to what that project will entail. That's totally different from what we're talking about here in the community engagement ordinance. This ordinance is dealing with projects or matters that are coming to the city council for approval that the administration is presenting to the city council regarding particular areas in which the council president has outlined in the beginning with the slide presentation. And that gives the city council the opportunity to hear from the community as to what their concerns are with regard to this project, this request that's coming to council for approval that's going to impact that community. The two are totally separate and do not overlap. And that's one of the things that we're going to make sure as we go forward with amending the community engagement ordinance, to make sure that it's clear that they don't overlap. So the two are totally different. One is the engagement of the community before council makes approval on certain items in which the administration is presenting to them. And the other deals with projects that are particularly larger projects that are impacting the community. An example would be the Fiat Chrysler project. That was a project that was coming to the community that was going to be impacting the community, which is over $75 million. The community was engaged in it to come up with community benefits, things that would benefit the community in that sense, which would be different than the community engagement ordinance, which is request looking for information to be shared from the community to City Council so that they can make an informed decision as to what's best to meet the needs of their community.
So I want to just briefly go back over the slides that I had presented earlier, and I want to just talk about the community engagement process. Is basically one that the community is engaged in. They will receive a notice. There will be a meeting. There will be a report from the community, that will come to council regarding the engagement that happened with the community. City Council will consider what's before us, and then City Council will vote on it. There are several things that would affect the entire city that would require a community engagement meeting, such as a ballot initiative, such as bond proposals, such as the master plan amendments, and such as the annual recommended budget. Those are things that would affect the whole entire city, and there will be a community engagement meeting, at least one, held in each city council district. So those 4 things I gave you are things that the community should be involved in, should be able to hear from the department on, and that's where the community engagement ordinance would come into play for citywide proposals. Then I want to talk about the community things and give an example of things that the community would be engaged in. Those are things such as the installation of bike lanes, the sale of surplus property, and that's major land sales, the installation of camera surveillance technology, neighborhood planning studies, streetscape projects and constructions. Now, some of these things already, the administration goes out into the community and talk about some of these things already. But these are things that would be coming before the community. There would be 2 meetings throughout the impacted community on the things that I just talked about. I just gave an example, and let me give an example. When bike lanes were installed, no one knew anything about the bike lanes being installed in their neighborhood. And so we would like the community to be engaged, because what actually happened was AARP partnered with me and my office, and we went around to the different communities, and we had community engagement meetings regarding what bike lanes were. We involved the departments to talk about what the bike lanes were doing in specific areas, where they were putting bike lanes, the purpose of the bike lanes. That is getting the community involved in what is about to come to their neighborhood prior to it coming to their neighborhood. So that's just an example that I wanted to give. The community engagement notices will be posted on the city's website and or on social media sites. The notices will be emailed to all registered users within the impacted area. There will be a notification to all residents within 300 radial feet for the in-person meetings only. Now, meetings can be held via Zoom. Meetings can be held at an already chartered mandated meeting, but there will be notifications to all residents within 300 radar feet to inform them about the in-person meeting. At the meetings, you will hear the presentation of the proposal. There will be community discussion, and then there will be community feedback. There will be a report that will be given to council. That report will consist of things such as how the community was notified about the meeting, the concerns that was raised by the community in the meeting, and the methods to address the concerns or why the concerns cannot be addressed in that report. Those are the things that will be in the report. So again, there is truly a difference between the community engagement ordinance and the community benefits ordinance. Although both of them introduced by myself, I just believe that it's important that you let citizens and your constituents know, and that is residents as well as business, things that will be happening in their community. I have been engaged with the community since I have been elected. It is important to be engaged with the community and that the community is aware of what is going on. So there again, there is truly a difference in community benefits ordinance and the community engagement ordinance. And one does not replace the other. They are totally two different ordinances. Are there any other questions on Facebook, or if anyone is listening and they have a question, please press *9 on your phone. That will raise your hand. Let me say to you, there is no dumb question. We are trying to educate. And if you have a question, please ask your question. The only question that's dumb is the question that you hang up the phone and say, I should have asked, but I thought it was a dumb question, so I didn't ask it. So please, if you have a question, because we truly want you to understand what the community engagement ordinance is. And this, again, I'm trying to engage the community and tell them about the ordinance that will be introduced to council. Are there any questions from Facebook, or are there any questions from anyone that is on the phone? I see no hands raised on the phone. If you want to raise your hand, please press *9. That will raise your hand. If you're on the phone, if you are on Facebook, and if you just type your question out, your question will be read and we will respond to your question. And we are also taking notes. And joining me is Marcel Hurt from our Legislative Policy Division. I do see 529 with a raised hand. You are unmuted.
Good morning again. Thank you, Council President. I have a question about notification. When you say notification of meetings will be done by email, will there be a process where those who are not connected to the technology can be notified other than the city website, perhaps by mail?
So technology is so important these days, and that's one thing I'm learning as we are going through this pandemic, how important technology is. But yes, if there is a meeting that will be held, then they will be notifications mailed out to everyone that is within 300 radar feet of where the for the community to be engaged. So where the project is taking place, you will be notified if you are living within 300 radar feet via mail. Other than that, the notification will be on the city's website. It will be through social media. And I'm sure the district representatives as well as the at-large representatives will be informing the people in their area about the community engagement meeting.
Thank you.
Council President, if I may.
Yes.
Additionally, Council President does understand the issues with. Additionally, Council President does understand the issues with the digital divide in our community and the lack of internet access. So she requested that a resolution is drafted for the city of Detroit to look at partnering with our local businesses and any internet providers to create hotspots throughout the city so that we can work to provide internet access as we transition to this new digital society. So that's forthcoming, and we will begin to work and encourage and find support for that. If you want to expand on that, Council President, because you just asked for that a couple of days ago.
Thank you. And I just also want to say that, you know, as we're going through this pandemic, one of the things that has become, and it was very apparent to me prior to this pandemic, but as we're going through this pandemic, it became very apparent to me how important technology is. And, you know, we talk about the census, and I'm just using a couple of examples. And the census is so important that our census number, everyone, we have 100% participation because that's money from the federal government that comes into the city based on the participation. Our numbers are low. And one of the things that was said is, you know, people are home, many people are not going out, mailing out things. And because people do not have the technology, they're not able to go into the, do it online because they don't have the technology. And so it is so important that everyone has some type of internet into their homes, and that possibly we have hotspots out in the city of Detroit. You talk about people not wanting to go into the grocery stores, and so many of our stores, you are able to order from the internet and then pay for it on the internet. If they would just bring your groceries out to your car and put them in your trunk. So that's used. You have to have internet, you have to have technology in order to do that. And we do know that Detroit Public Schools communities will be giving hotspot boxes as well as laptops to the Detroit Public Schools students, and they will have access to them for at least 6 months. And so we know that's how they will be educated, and that's how they will be learning as well. And so having internet these days is so important, and the technology is so important.
Council President, we do have a couple questions from Facebook. The first is there a list to add your name to this notification info by district or city if you do not live within 300 radio feet instead of trying to find and look it up?
Okay.
And Linda, I don't know if you want to take that one because you manage email collection for our office. That process, there are several processes for.
Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mr. Hurt?
I believe that the ordinance indicates that there will be a registration that you can register for with the email so that you can receive email notifications. So I'm sure that when we finished with the ordinance, that there will be a method in which people can register their information so that they can receive the notifications.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions either from the phone? If you press *9 on the phone, that will raise your hand. If you are watching via Facebook, you can type your question online and it will be read and we will respond to your question.
Next question is, what department is mailing out to the 300 feet locations? And it's not specifically a mailer. It could be a door knocker or an in-person delivery. It depends upon how the department wants to implement. But we're getting the notice out.
I missed the last part of her statement.
Can you read that again? We missed that. Ms. Barnes, can you read that again?
Who would be responsible for getting the notice out?
Oh, okay. Depending on what the administration is trying to do and the size of the project in which is taking place, the clerk's office, the city clerk's office usually handles the mailings for notifications, although sometimes the departments in which is administering the project or the request will also handle mailings out. However, as Ms. Barnes indicated, depending on the project that is being and the size of and scope of it, there may be door knockers that are placed on it in the 300 foot radius with regard to the project, as opposed to a mailing. But the information will be, as opposed to just placed on the website or through email, it will be, notification will be given to those within that 300 foot radius.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hurt. Any additional questions? You can press *9 from your phone. If you are on Facebook, you can type your question in and we will respond to your question. I do not see any hands raised. Do we have any questions? I think there are questions on the Facebook. Are there questions on Facebook?
We do not have any more questions on Facebook, Council President, but if you want to talk to our listeners and our watchers about going to the website and our legislative engagement form and other ways that they can stay connected in the remaining meetings that we have on the ordinance.
Okay, you said there are no questions on, because first I want to make sure we're answering all the questions.
No, there are no more questions on Facebook.
Okay, so if you have any questions regarding anything that my office is doing, first of all, you can always call my office at 313-224-1245. And although we are not there right now, we have people that are monitoring it, monitoring that line. And if you leave your number, someone will call you back. You can also follow us on social media. And we are up on basically all of the social medias. And I am actually trying to find all of the social media addresses myself. I am going to give you all of our social media addresses if you just give me one moment. Okay. You can follow us on social media. Facebook is Brenda, www.facebook.com/CP Brenda Jones. Brenda Jones, the Citizen Voice Speak. You can also follow us through YouTube, which is Council President Brenda Jones. You can also follow us through Instagram at I am Brenda Jones, _Brenda Jones. You can also follow us at Twitter at I am _Brenda Jones, or you can visit our website at www.detroitmi.gov/Brenda Jones. And if you're interested in receiving email updates from council or from my office, you can go to our website and type in your information, and we will put you on our email list. And actually, you can scroll to the bottom and just click on Join Email List and type in your email address and click on Enter. I do see one hand, and that is 089. 089, you are unmuted.
Council President, can you hear me, Council President?
I can hear you.
Council President, I just wanted to add for the community engagement ordinance, anyone that has any questions or any comments or any suggestions, again, I just wanted to reiterate to please go to your website, go to Council President Jones' website and click on our legislative engagement form. Please put your comments in there and they will be gathered, reviewed, and considered.
I don't see any additional hands raised, and I don't think we have any questions on Facebook. I don't know if you have anything you would like to add in closing, Mr. Hurt.
Madam President, I just wanted to thank you for an opportunity to assist you in this manner. I want to make sure that, as we indicated earlier, that there is a significant difference between the community engagement ordinance and the community benefits ordinance. Even though the community benefits ordinance is right now being reviewed for any amendments to it, this is not the amendment to that ordinance. This is a separate ordinance that the Council President is presenting to provide the community the opportunity to weigh in and voice its opinion regarding major issues that the administration is presenting to City Council for approval. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Hurt, and thank you for being here with us this morning. It's always good to have someone that's there as your support, and so I appreciate you for being here with us this morning, Mr. Hurt. I want to not prolong the time, but I also want to invite you to join us at noon, 12 noon, when we will be highlighting our heroes. Our heroes are the men and women who go to work each day so we can stay home and stay safe. Those are people such as the ones that are working in the stores, the ones that are delivering mail, our postal service workers, our first responders, the ones, our medical professionals. There are many essential service workers who are working so that we can stay home, and we would like to highlight them. On Monday at 6 p.m., we will have a millennial roundtable discussion, and that will also be on the community engagement ordinance. Again, you can follow us on social media, or you can call my office at 313-224-1245 to get the dates and times of all of my digital community outreaches. We have probably had about 25 digital community outreaches. Many of them are up on our social media webpage. Yesterday, we had a very informative one on student loans. There's so many people out in around the area who have student loans, and they're wondering, are they still responsible for paying on those student loans during COVID-19? You can go up on our social media and get that information if you missed it on yesterday. And I just want to say to everyone, remember, we are still under the stay home, stay safe executive order, at least until May 28th. The governor extended it until May 28th. However, if you have to go out, please be sure to practice social distancing. And also be sure to wear your mask. Protect yourself, protect others, and protect your family members whom you are coming back home to. Please wear your mask. If there are no additional questions, I'm going to also tell you one more thing. Continue to wash your hands with warm water, hot water, and soap. Also, if you're someplace where there is no water, please continue to use hand sanitizers to keep your hands free and clean from the germs. It has been noted that normally the average person puts their hands in their face at least 20 times an hour. That's a lot of germs going into your face. So please continue to use hand sanitizers, continue to be safe. I want to say to you, in case I don't see you or talk to you again, have a wonderful weekend. And if we are lucky, we'll see you or we'll talk to you at noon. Until then, and until we meet again, thank you for sharing with us today. Again, I think it's so important that we engage the community and that the community know what is going on. Thank you for being here with us today, and hopefully we'll see you or talk to you at noon. Have a wonderful weekend, and this will conclude our coffee, tea, water, whatever your favorite beverage was and is. This will conclude it for this Friday. Stay safe, and this meeting will stand adjourned.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.